Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
Were you hired to participate in the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you paid to participate in the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Who hired you?
Sigfredo.
And who hired Sigfredo?
His wife paid me.
Who paid you to participate in the murder of Dan Markel?
Sigfredo.
All right. And who gave him the money?
His wife paid me.
Luis Rivera, the notorious Latin King gang member who pleaded guilty to murdering Dan Markel, took the stand once again in May 2022 in a Tallahassee courtroom. In exchange for his guilty plea and cooperation with the state, he would serve 19 years for his role in the murder. In my very first Court Junkie episodes about this case, which started with episode 93, I covered Luis's testimony from the first trial, where he talked about carrying out the actual murder. But in this one, I'm going to skip all that and just focus on the parts relevant to Katherine Magbanua's alleged involvement. In part 1, which I released last week, I covered much of the prosecution's case against Katherine, including some pretty contentious testimony from Wendy Adelson. Today, I'm covering the rest of the prosecution's case, the defense's side, and the outcome. Katherine's first trial ended with a hung jury, who couldn't decide what, if any, her role was in this murder. Would this jury be any different? This is Jillian, and in partnership with Law and Crime, you are listening to Court Junkie, episode 204, part 2. Luis Rivera testified that he knew Katherine Magbanua through Sigfredo Garcia, or Tuto, his best friend, and that he was positive that she was the one who hired them for the killing.
Who set up this arrangement, this conspiracy to murder?
My understanding that I know was Katie was involved. She was the mastermind. She was the middle of it. She told him to come do a job, and he came and told me.
Did you have any understanding of why we were coming to Tallahassee to kill this guy?
Not at that moment.
But you knew it was a murder for hire.
Yes, ma'am.
And you knew someone above Katie the money was coming from somewhere above Katie.
Yes, ma'am.
He said Sigfredo knew Katherine was seeing a dentist, but that Sigfredo didn't know him.
To your knowledge, who all was paid to participate in this murder?
Who was all paid was me, Sigfredo. Katie got paid.
Who is the dentist?
I don't know him. I call him the dentist, but his name is Charlie, I guess.
But at the time of this murder, you just knew there was a dentist?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did you think the dentist was?
Was her boyfriend, Katie's boyfriend.
All right. And did you ever know Sigfredo Garcia to be in contact with the dentist?
Not that I know.
Did you have phone calls with the dentist?
No.
Text message with the dentist, to your knowledge?
No, ma'am.
You ever see him talking with the dentist?
No, ma'am.
All right, and you didn't know the dentist?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Never personally met him?
Never.
He said one time in March 2014, he and Sigfredo pulled up to a restaurant and saw Katherine and Charlie eating there, and that's when Sigfredo told him about them dating. Sigfredo was angry about it and wanted to go after them, but Luis said he stopped him. To his knowledge, he said Sigfredo didn't even know Charlie's name. Luis also once again implicated Wendy Adelson and referred to her as the lady.
What about this, something to do with a lady and her kids? Tell us about that.
Yes. All I knew that she was giving us the money because of the lady, because I never knew her name.
But that lady turned out to be Wendy Adelson, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And your understanding of this murder was that ultimately what?
That she was going to pay.
That the money was coming through from her, or
Yes.
And that this murder was to help her in some way.
Yes, ma'am.
Help her how?
To get her kids back.
And did you ever know Garcia to have any contact with Wendy Adelson?
No, not to my knowledge.
So all the contact with any Adelson or Dennis person happened through Katherine Magbanua.
Yes, ma'am.
Lewis said he and Sigfredo made 2 trips to Tallahassee, one in June to scope the place out, and then again in July to carry it out. They would have carried it out on the June trip if there was an opportunity, but he said they kept losing track of Dan. Initially, Sigfredo told him they were going to Tallahassee for a robbery, and so he had purchased a gun for it. But when they were about halfway there, Sigfredo told him they were actually going to kill someone. He said he was willing to be the shooter, but it just worked out that he wasn't.
Who provided the information to you all as to who to kill?
To come up here,
Yeah.
Katie told Sigfredo the address, and we got up here. He had a piece of paper, so we came up here straight.
All right, so he had a piece of paper. Was that in the Prius?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did he have the piece? I know you made 2 trips. The Prius was the one with the murder, right? And then there was a trip before that.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk for a second about the trip before that. Did you have the murder weapon both times?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have the paper both times?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and what was on the paper?
A picture of the dude.
Dan Markel.
Yes, a picture of him and an address.
Was the address the place that you ultimately ended up killing him?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you ever witness Sigfredo Garcia have a conversation with anyone about this murder or this case other than you and Katherine Magbanua?
No, just us 2. That's it.
Lewis said he couldn't recall if Sigfredo talked to Katherine on the phone during the first trip in June.
Do you remember any conversations involving don't do anything stupid?
Yes.
And was that first trip?
Both trips, probably.
Okay, and what was the nature of those conversations?
Like, don't do nothing stupid. Like, be careful.
Who was saying don't do anything stupid?
Katie.
Who was she telling that to?
Sigfredo.
How was it you were able, how do you know that what she told Sigfredo?
The only person he called.
He was calling her during the first trip?
Second trip.
Second trip.
The day before the murder, he described seeing who he said was Wendy Adelson on Dan's street.
Well, I was scoping the house, and I was scoping the house and we're leaving. She was walking in the sidewalk with 2 kids.
And that was on the road where Markel lived?
Yes, ma'am.
All
a couple
right.
of houses down from his house.
Okay. And were you driving at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
What did the lady do when you saw her?
She looked at the car and got on the phone right away. Made a phone call.
Okay. And how did you know that the lady, or why did you think that the lady was Wendy Adelson?
Just asked her, see her, why is she looking at the car like that? Yeah, that's her. That's the lady.
Okay. So you believe that to be Wendy Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
He said Sigfredo then told him they had to get the job done because Katherine told him Dan was going to be leaving town. Prosecutor Kappelman asked him about a time during the second trip when he posted something on Instagram.
I took a picture of, I think it was a lion. And I remember Garcia getting a phone call. They tell me to take that down. That's too much evidence where we was at.
All right. Say that again.
I remember Garcia telling me to take that picture down. That's too much evidence where we was at. Katie called Garcia and told him, hey, you need to take that picture down ASAP.
Okay. Why would it be a problem for you to be posting a picture from Tallahassee?
So we came out here to do a job.
Okay. So there could be data associated with where you took the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
He said about an hour after the murder, Sigfredo immediately called Katherine. He could hear both of them talk and recognized her voice.
All right. What was that conversation?
Well, he called and said, it's done. She said, I know. I tell him, hey, what's up with the money? He said, hey, where's the money at? He said, tomorrow. The next day was a Saturday, because I remember because I ended up going to a barbershop.
All right, so Sigfredo Garcia calls Katherine Magbanua, the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
And he says it's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Or something along those lines. The job is done.
The job is done.
And she says, I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she elaborate on that? Did she say how she knew?
No, ma'am.
Objection, Your Honor. It's leading, but it's also asked and answered. We've already gone over this.
Overruled.
Did she say how she knew?
No, ma'am.
The morning after the murder, Katherine was looking for Sigfredo. He said Sigfredo had dumped his phone at this point, so she couldn't get a hold of him. Lewis told the jury he was at a barber shop when his girlfriend Jessica called him and told him Katherine and Sigfredo were at his house. He said he drove home and Katherine, Sigfredo, and Jessica were there. The money was in a small brown paper bag. He and Sigfredo went out into the car and opened it, while Katherine stayed inside the house. He said the money was in hundreds, and they were all stapled in $1,000 stacks. He said he got $35,000, and then Sigfredo gave him an additional $2,000. He estimated Sigfredo got $40,000, and Katherine got the rest. He said the total was $100,000. He said he never had any contact with anyone from the Adelson family, that it was always through Sigfredo who went through Katherine. On cross, Lewis agreed that in order to get his deal, he had to cooperate. Once he was charged in Dan's murder, he went through his discovery with his attorney. He agreed that he read warrants detailing the state's theory of the case and how they believed Katherine was involved.
And ultimately what you did in this case, you met with law enforcement, right?
Yes, sir.
You finally sit down with them come the fall time of 2016, right?
Yes.
You knew their theory, right?
Yes.
That Katherine was involved, right?
I knew she was involved, yep.
And you named the names that they wanted to hear to get a reduction. That's what you did, right?
I gave them the names, yes.
You gave the two names that were in the reports and in your discovery, Wendy Adelson and Katherine Magbanua, right?
Yes.
You did exactly what you said you did in the federal case. You took it and ran.
Yes, sir.
Agreed to the government's facts, whether truthful or not.
It's true, but yes.
You agree that you agreed to untruthful facts.
No, everything I said was the truth, or whatever you're trying to say. But
I'm here trying to figure out what you've said and done. So you need to tell me, okay, please? You agreed to the government's facts, right?
yes.
He agreed that he got a reduced charge, from first-degree murder to second-degree for his cooperation. His qualification as a habitual offender, along with the death penalty, was also waived, along with other charges like conspiracy, solicitation, and being in possession of a firearm. He agreed that if he had said he was the shooter, he likely wouldn't have gotten a deal. But I'm not the shooter, he said. Katherine's attorney, Chris DeCoste, then went over his cell phone records for the day after the murder, when Lewis said Katherine dropped off the money. He pointed out that the cell phone records don't match his story about where he was that morning. Lewis had a reason for that. He said he had two phones and had given one of them to his friend.
What is your explanation to the jury why that phone that's communicating with Miss Magbanua is right there when the phone calls are happening in Normandy and not where you claim it to be?
I have two phones. Anthony had my other phone, and he's going that way to go pick up Tuto. It's right around the corner, not too far from each other. That same little area where Shrimp lived at.
Mr. Rivera, you've given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is your 11th time testifying. Have you ever said that before? That you gave your phone to King Anthony, and that's why your cell phone.
I believe I said it one time before. It should be on record, but I have said it one time before. And it's been a long time, been 8 years.
So that same phone that went with you to Tallahassee, the same phone that you had that was using for all the communication, just so happens to be that that phone is not in your possession. The one that's communicating, just like you're saying, was communicating with Miss Magbanua on that morning.
Yes, sir.
So then what's the other phone number? What's the other phone?
I don't know the number.
You never told them, right?
I don't know the phone number.
We don't have the cell phone records.
I can't remember. If I remember the phone, I can't remember. It's been 8 years total. Who's going to remember a phone number?
DeCoste told him he needs for him to tell the jury the truth.
Garcia came to you to commit this murder, but he didn't mention Katie, right?
Katie been involved the whole time, dog.
Garcia came to you and he didn't mention who was hiring him, right?
Yes, he did.
Now, you knew that cooperating just against Sigfredo Garcia, it wouldn't help you, right? You said that you know that.
She's the mastermind. She was in the middle of this.
But cooperating against Garcia, that's my question. You agree with me that that wouldn't help you?
No, I don't agree with you with that.
If you had just implicated Garcia, you already agreed you would not have gotten a deal. You know that, right?
Since day one, I mentioned her name.
They laid it out for you who they wanted, right?
No.
They told you. You
I
already
gave him the truth, bro. I'm not going to go back and forth with you, man. I gave him the truth. Like, it was Katie and Garcia. It was all three of us involved.
Mr. Rivera,
That's the truth, man.
Christopher Corbett from the Tallahassee Police Department analyzed the cell phone evidence in this case. He first went over the route Wendy Adelson took on the morning of the murder, displaying for the jury a map of the area. He said she first went south on her way to a liquor store and then encountered a roadblock police had put up near Dan's house, the crime scene. After hitting the roadblock, he said she then turned around and took a couple more turns and then went to ABC Fine Wine and Spirits.
Now, when she drove by Trescott Drive, she encountered the roadblock around, you said, 12:40. Did she attempt to call Dan Markel or her children?
She did not.
Did she call her children's daycare, creative preschool, to see if they had made it to school?
She did not.
Did she attempt to call 911 looking at her call detail records?
From the call detail records, no.
After the liquor store, she then traveled back north and went to Mosaic Restaurant.
Now, are you familiar with the area of Thomasville Road and I-10 where Mosaic used to be?
I am, yes.
Were there any liquor stores in that area back in July of 2014?
There were, yes.
And what were those stores?
There was Market Square Liquors, Publix Liquors. There's an ABC a little further north on Thomasville Road as well.
Okay. And did you create a map based on those store locations? And then, is that what you have next? Okay.
It is.
Can you show us that?
I can.
The dotted red line on the map, representing the route she could have taken to get to a liquor store by the restaurant she was going to, was relatively short and just went north from her house and then west. The purple line, the one she actually took, where she encountered the roadblock by Dan's house and then went to ABC Liquors, went what appears to be out of the way south, then west, and then back up north to the restaurant, which was pretty much just west of where she lived.
And how much longer is the route that she actually took, which took her by the Trescott Drive residence of Dan Markel, compared to the route she could have taken?
Well, timing, of course, depends on a lot of things, traffic and other. But in general, we can see that the shortest route is just over 3.5 miles. The longest route is just under 9.5. So it's obviously a longer trip.
Corbett also explained frequency reports they ran in the case. He told the jury it tells them, based on phone records, who someone communicates with most frequently at any given time. He said it can help to identify co-conspirators, friends, neighbors, or family. Sigfredo's frequency report showed the top number he communicated with around the time of the murder was Katherine. Katherine was also the second most frequent contact in Charlie Adelson's records.
So you find Garcia's records in this tower dump communicating near Premier Gym. You compare his number against all the Adelsons and find only one contact ever from him to Harvey Adelson, and it was just a voicemail. So then you look at Garcia's frequency report to see if any of his top contacts have any contact with any Adelson, if there's any link to him and the Adelsons. And this is what you found?
That's correct.
Now, central to the state's case is a timeline, which they were able to put together mostly from phone records. Prosecutors contend that Katherine took Sigfredo to rent the car for their June trip. On June 2nd, Katherine's phone records from the time the car was rented show that her phone was pinging off the tower by the rental place, which was about 25 minutes from where she lived. On her way to the rental car place, she had a phone call with Geico, her car insurance company. Then, as she left that area, there was a voice call with Charlie Adelson. And when she got back to her house, there was an outgoing phone call she made to Sigfredo. For the June trip, prosecutors were able to follow along with Lewis's phone records, which matched the rental car's GPS, but they didn't have any cell phone records for Sigfredo for the month of June. According to Katherine's records, during this trip, she and Sigfredo had 16 total communications over the course of 48 hours. Katherine also called Lewis a few times, which prosecutors said was unusual. It was a number she didn't normally call, and it suggested to them that she knew Lewis and Sigfredo were together. After that trip, on June 6th, the day the rental car was returned, the car's GPS shows that it was in close proximity to Katherine's residence at 8:48 a.m. This would be about 8 hours after the car returned back from Tallahassee. Later that day, Katherine's phone records showed travel again towards the rental car place, and the rental car was returned. On the night of July 14th, 2014, the night before the green Prius was rented for the July trip, location data for Charlie's phone was consistent with going to dinner with Katherine that night, near her house. He went home later. After that, Katherine's phone communicated with Sigfredo. The next day, on July 15th, Sigfredo and Lewis rented the Prius. After that, phone records show communication between Sigfredo and Katherine. At 9:30 p.m., those communications stopped, consistent with them being together. At 10:25 that night, the rental car's GPS showed that it was in the parking lot of Katherine's residence. On July 17th, Sigfredo and Lewis arrive in Tallahassee in the early morning hours. There were 22 phone events between Sigfredo and Katherine during this trip. At one point, she called Sigfredo's phone, and then after called Lewis's number, which was again unusual for her. The first time she called Lewis, according to her records, was during the June trip, and here it was happening again for the second time, on this trip. Right after trying Lewis's number, she again tried calling Sigfredo. On July 18th, the day of the murder, Katherine and Charlie communicated multiple times, as did Katherine and Sigfredo. In fact, prosecutors noted that there was a flurry of calls between Donna and Charlie, then Charlie to Katherine, then Katherine to Sigfredo, and back the same way. The first phone call Sigfredo made after the murder was to Katherine. That night, Katherine's cell phone data is consistent with her going to her friend Yindra's house. Yindra testified at the first trial that Katherine had asked her to watch her kids. Then Katherine's phone went to the area of Lewis's residence. Around that same time, Lewis and Sigfredo's phones were consistent with being there too. Investigator Corbett testified that he wasn't able to tell anything from Katherine's location data after that. Her phone appears to have been turned off, but he was able to tell that she then went to Charlie's house, as evidenced by text messages from Charlie's phone. The next morning was the alleged money drop. At around 9:45, Katherine attempted to call Sigfredo multiple times, but doesn't appear to have been able to get through. It appears as though his phone had been shut off, and Corbett said it's consistent with him getting rid of his phone. Katherine then tried another number belonging to a friend of Sigfredo and Lewis, Anthony Ortiz, and then Lewis called her. Lewis's location shows he was first by his residence or the barber shop, which are near each other. Then he went by a woman they call Shrimp's house, where Sigfredo would often stay, and then went back to Lewis's house. Communication continued between Katherine's phone and Lewis's phone. Katherine's location data then shows her traveling south from the area of Charlie's house to the area of Lewis's. Then there was no activity on Katherine's phone between 10:31 and 11:23 a.m.
Could this evidence be consistent with Rivera and Magbanua trying to reach Garcia, finding him, and the three of them meeting up at Rivera's residence?
It could be, yes.
And you're not going off just the locations for that, but just the pattern of calling, how they are all calling or all trying to get in contact with Garcia, talking to each other, and then it abruptly stops once they're consistent with Rivera's residence?
That's correct.
At 11:23 a.m., Katherine's phone moved a cell site south. Corbett said her friend Yindra's residence could be consistent with this. Prosecutor Dugan asked Corbett if any Adelson phones ever communicated with Sigfredo's phone, aside from that one voicemail to Harvey from a few weeks prior to the murder. He said no. On cross, Chris DeCoste asked about the frequency of communications between Charlie and Katherine, and then Katherine and Sigfredo. He pulled up phone records from what he called an insignificant date.
So, Sergeant, we have an insignificant date. A lot of communications with Sigfredo Garcia in green. And here on May 1st, we have communications with Sigfredo Garcia in green. In purple, the grandmother of her children, Sigfredo Garcia again, some communications with Charles Adelson, then again with Sigfredo Garcia, correct?
Correct.
So you'd agree with me that when we compare an insignificant day to a significant day, that this pattern is not unusual.
There is daily communication between these parties, correct?
On insignificant days and significant days.
Correct.
DeCoste also pointed out that Katherine had family and friends who lived near where the cars were rented, and that it was impossible to say she wasn't visiting them. DeCoste then focused on the alleged money drop the morning after Dan was killed. Corbett agreed that there were discussions in the messages about the day's activities and about Katherine wanting to go to the pool with her kids. When asked if he knew where her kids were during the alleged money drop-off, he said no.
Based on your review of everything, can you say to this jury that Katherine Magbanua and Luis Rivera ever met that morning?
No.
He was asked about WhatsApp and communications found on Charlie's phone, where Charlie references wanting to talk to people on the app. DeCoste pointed out that the only time Katherine used WhatsApp to communicate with Charlie was when he was out of the country. Corbett said he wasn't aware of that and couldn't speak to it. Yindra Velasquez Mascaro, a childhood friend of Katherine's, took the stand and testified once again for the state. As a refresher, Yindra previously testified at Katherine's first trial. Then, she testified about Katherine's work life around the time of the murder and after. She said she used to work with Katherine at various nightclubs and that they did get paid in cash. However, she said they didn't make that much money, maybe a couple $100 a night on average. Once in a while, they would make about $400 to $500, but that wasn't very often. She never knew Katherine to work at the Adelson Institute. She had also said that the night Dan was murdered, Katherine asked her to watch her kids, something she hadn't done before. Her kids stayed the night. The next day, Katherine called and told her Charlie's brother-in-law had been in an accident. Yindra reiterated much of her testimony this time around, too. She also testified more about Katherine's relationships with Charlie and Sigfredo, and she said Katherine would try to keep them apart from each other.
Was Sigfredo Garcia jealous of Charlie Adelson?
Yes.
Did Sigfredo Garcia ever confront Charlie Adelson?
I only know of one instance, and it wasn't, he didn't talk to him really.
Mm-hmm. And how do you know about this? Let me ask you first of all.
Katie told me about it.
Can you tell me what she said?
She stated that they were leaving her apartment when she lived in North Bay Village, and that he blocked the car that they were in because they were going out. They were going jet skiing, if I'm not mistaken, and that he blocked the car, for them not to be able to leave.
Okay. Garcia blocked Charlie Adelson and Katherine Magbanua for leaving.
That's correct.
Okay. And you said that Garcia, from what she told you, Garcia and Charlie never talked, but he was creating some type of disturbance. Garcia was causing a scene. Okay. What did she tell you about what happened? Like, how did it end?
They just ended up driving off. Okay. After he eventually moved the car and they just drove off.
Okay. So there's never any direct communication, but it's screaming, yelling, causing a scene, and then they leave.
Yes.
Now, after that, I guess, like, bout of jealousy, disturbing a scene or causing a scene by Garcia, did Katherine Magbanua tell you about something Garcia did that embarrassed her?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
She told me that he retrieved, or what he thought was, Charlie's phone number from her cell phone. And it ended up being that it wasn't Charlie's phone number. It was actually his father's phone number. And that he left a very nasty voicemail on the phone.
He leaves a very nasty voicemail for Charlie's dad.
Yes, but he thought it was Charlie that he was leaving the voicemail for, but it ended up being Harvey.
Okay. And how did she feel that her ex has called her boyfriend's dad and left a nasty voicemail?
She was really embarrassed.
On cross, she agreed that Sigfredo didn't like the fact that Katherine was dating Charlie. Ramsey Neighbor used to own Club Fate, one of the clubs Katherine worked at. He said about 90% of the customers paid with credit cards, and that at the end of the night, any tips the servers made would then be added to their paychecks. If they made cash tips, they would keep those. He said on average, a good night for the employees would be about $200 to $250 a night. He said the club itself was not a successful venue. He ended up selling it and walking away from it. One of Charlie Adelson's ex-girlfriends, who dated him after the murder, also took the stand again in this trial. June Umchinda had made headlines when she first testified, after saying that she saw Charlie with stapled $100 bills. That's exactly the way Luis Rivera had described how the money was after receiving it from Katherine, stapled together. There were a few new details June testified about this time around. She said she and Charlie dated for a solid 2 years, but that they've been on again, off again for 7. For the last year or so, she said he had been trying to see her a lot, but she said she just couldn't with everything going on with this case. She said the last time she had contact with him was the day before his arrest. He had reached out to her the night before. She replied the next day, but he was already gone. She was again asked about money she had seen in a refrigerator-sized safe Charlie had in his room.
And that was thousands and thousands of dollars?
From the time that I saw there was. I don't know how much was in there.
And were the thousands and thousands of dollars kept in stacks of hundreds?
The thousands that I saw were $100 bills.
$100 bills. And were they stapled together in stacks?
I believe so. I saw like a staple, but this was so long ago that.
Would it refresh your recollection to review your prior statement given on July?
No, I remember it. Like, okay. I mean, there were staples on it. I just don't know. Like, I never saw the money in the safe, so I don't know.
Okay, but you saw money out of the safe being counted, right?
Right.
Okay, and that money was in stacks of $100 bills stapled together.
Yes.
She was asked if Charlie's behavior changed after the first arrests were made in the case, meaning Sigfredo and Luis. She said he went through a lot of stages. He became depressed and was never the same.
Did he become violent?
Not like really to me, but sometimes he would get angry sometimes.
Agitated?
I think so, yeah.
Short fused?
I mean, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Couldn't sleep?
Yes.
Did he keep clothes by his bed in case the police showed up in the middle of the night?
He did that once, I think, but it was so long ago that I don't know if it was for that reason.
June was also asked about Donna Adelson.
Did you have any contact with Donna Adelson during this time frame?
No.
Do you remember being on the balcony of the Icon where Mrs. Adelson lives, having a conversation with her about this case?
Briefly.
All right. And what was her demeanor? Do you know what I mean by that? How was she acting?
Yeah, I know what demeanor means, but she was, everyone was obviously upset about this, and she wasn't happy, so.
She was stressed out, right?
Yeah, of course.
Did she have puffy eyes?
I don't remember.
Did she complain about not sleeping?
Possibly.
And did she make a statement to you about Dan Markel?
Yes, I believe so.
What was that statement?
Just that everything was awful, and it feels like, like it's, I don't know. I'm sure you have it there. So
Do you know what it is?
I kind of briefly remember, but
did she say that she feels like Dan's back from the grave, like haunting her?
I don't know, like, if they were those exact words. I think she was just so stressed out and upset that that's how it came out. So
on cross, June spoke more about the breakup of her relationship with Charlie. She said they had broken up and 2 months later got back together. She then found out that within those 2 months, he had gotten Wendy's boyfriend's nanny pregnant. She said at one point when they were dating, he was going out of town and he told her that if the police showed up, to not answer the door. She said she thought that was strange and didn't know why the police would come. When Katherine was arrested, she agreed that Charlie was shocked and surprised. She testified that she and Charlie watched the special on 2020 together.
Isn't it true he actually told you they have it completely wrong?
Yes.
He said that Katie worked for him, right?
He did say, I think she did work for him, did some work for him.
He also mentioned that she paid for her own breast augmentation, right?
He said she paid for one of them or something.
2 employees who worked at the Adelson Institute testified that they never saw Katherine working there. And both testified that the Adelson Institute has a cleaning service that comes in, a husband and wife team. Jessica Rodriguez is Luis Rivera's girlfriend and mother of his daughter. She had a falling out with Katherine after Sigfredo was arrested. She said she called Katherine to ask her about it, but that Katherine refused to talk to her. She said Luis had told her he was going out of town with Sigfredo to get drugs, but didn't tell her he was going to commit a murder in Tallahassee. She described Katherine and Sigfredo coming over the day after the murder. She said Katherine was at first waiting in the car, but after Jessica shouted out to her to come see the baby she had just given birth to, Katherine came inside. She said she called Luis and told him they were there with a package. It was a plastic bag. It looked like a brick of drugs, how they wrap up cocaine, she said.
During the time that Katherine Magbanua was coming up to see the baby, did she ever acknowledge the package or say anything about the package?
Yes.
What did she say about the package?
Basically did, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, did you give him the package, but Tato wasn't there.
Okay, so he hadn't arrived yet when she made the statement. Okay. And so who is she asking, did you give him the package?
Tuto.
She said Katherine knew everything when it came to Sigfredo doing bad things. On cross, Jessica agreed that she spoke with Luis's legal team prior to her interview with investigators.
So before the call, his legal team called you and says to you, he's looking at the death penalty and other people are involved, right?
Yes.
That they asked you with a leading question almost, did they ever do a money transaction? And you told them yes, right?
Correct.
And then they asked you between Tuto and Katie, and you said yes.
Correct.
It's not a situation where they came to you and say, hey, do you remember anything?
No.
Jessica said investigators also talked to her about getting Luis to cooperate, and allowed her to talk to him on one of the officer's cell phones. Katherine's attorney, Tara Kawas, also pointed out that Jessica had told investigators at the time that Katherine and Sigfredo had actually left before Lewis got home.
If that's what I told them.
That's what you told them. Okay? You also said that when Katie came into the house, that Katie had said, Sigfredo just picked me up. Right?
I don't remember. So if it's there, then I said it.
And most importantly, you told them that this incident happened in August or September of 2014.
Yes, because I had my dates wrong then. Yes, correct.
She agreed that's what she said back then, but not how she remembers it now. She said the following day after she and Lewis cooperated, Katherine was arrested. Kawas then pointed out additional statements she had given to investigators following Katherine's arrest.
You told them that Lewis was at work when Sigfredo came over.
To my knowledge at that moment, yes.
Okay. And you described the package as Publix bags tied up, right?
Correct.
A brick. And then you told them that you told the detectives again that Katie did not know what was in the bag.
I don't remember. So if I said it,
I mean, I can show it to you. You want me to show it to you?
Sure, if it's written down, then yeah.
After viewing her statement, she agreed that's what she said. Mary Hull, a financial investigator, again testified as she had in the last trial about Katherine's finances. I won't go into detail again about what exactly she said, but in short, Katherine deposited the most cash she ever had into her bank account right after the murder. She then received checks from the Adelson Institute from October 2014 through May 2016, biweekly checks in the amount of $407.58, totaling around $17,000. What's more, Hull testified that she noticed that many of the checks were in sequential order, meaning they were written all at once, signed by Donna Adelson. Katherine also received checks from a dermatology office owned by Charlie's friend from July 2015 through March 2016.
Download the Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming true crime on live channels and on demand. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
According to prosecutors, almost 2 years after the murder, all members of the conspiracy to murder Dan Markel had gone on with their lives. Wendy Adelson and her kids were living in Miami, not far from her family. Katherine and Charlie had broken up, although they still remained in contact. Katherine and Sigfredo were back together, and Charlie had dated multiple women since. Lewis was in federal prison, serving time for another charge unrelated to the murder. And it was then that investigators decided to put together an undercover operation, what they called a bump, and then got a warrant for a wiretap on both Katherine's and Charlie's phones.
As part of the undercover operation, the police needed some event that would generate conversation between the conspirators of this murder. And the plan was to send an undercover agent posing as somebody on behalf of Luis Rivera, who was incarcerated. And they wanted him to send the undercover agent. They wanted the undercover agent to walk up to Donna Adelson on the street and try to extort money out of her. So the undercover agent walks up to Donna Adelson outside of Adelson Institute. He hands her a piece of paper, and the piece of paper has an article on it about the murder of Dan Markel. And it has a phone number, and it has the amount of $5,000. And the undercover agent tells Donna Adelson that he knows that the Adelsons are taking care of Katherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia, and that Rivera wants more money to even things out. Because if y'all will remember, the defendant is still on the Adelson Institute payroll. She stays on the payroll from about 2 months after the murder all the way up to May 2016. And she's continuing to get money from the Adelsons, while Rivera just got the one-time payment for murder. So that's what the undercover agent says. He wants more money to even things out, Rivera does. Then law enforcement listens to see what will happen next.
Retired FBI agent Oscar Jimenez was the agent who approached Donna. The video of this interaction was played for the jury. He says to her, "My brother is incarcerated after he helped you with your problem. We want to make sure he's taken care of the way you're taking care of Katie and Tuto." Donna takes the paper from him and puts it in her bag before walking away. FBI Special Agent Pat Sanford took the stand while the wiretaps were played for the jury. The first one was between Donna and Charlie. She calls Charlie after being approached and tells him what happened. She says, "This TV is probably about 5. Charlie says that's crazy and tells her he will come down in the afternoon and take a look at it.
We hear Donna Adelson mention a TV. This TV is probably about 5. Is there any significance based on your investigation to the term TV?
Significance to a TV? Yes. Early on in the investigation, Wendy stated to Investigator Isom during the interview that her brother had joked about hiring a hitman, but TV was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
Right, and that was the same TV that was being repaired at Wendy's residence on the day of the homicide?
Yes, it was.
All right, and when she says this TV is probably about 5, the amount written on the letter was how much again?
$5,000.
Right. And in this call, we hear Donna mention an ex-girlfriend. Does she say the name Katie or Katherine Magbanua?
No, she doesn't.
Is Katie or Katherine Magbanua the only ex-girlfriend that Charlie Adelson has?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No, it's not.
Okay. Is it his most recent? Is Katie or Katherine Magbanua, this defendant, the most recent ex-girlfriend of Charlie Adelson at this time?
No.
After this call, Charlie then calls Katherine and tells her what happened. He doesn't call anyone else or discuss this with anyone else. The next day, Charlie met up with Donna. Then, later in the week, he and Katherine met up at the Dolce Vita restaurant, which I referenced early in part 1. An undercover FBI agent was seated near them and recorded their conversation. As I said before, this tape was introduced at Katherine's first trial, but it was really difficult to make out exactly what was being said. Since then, prosecutors had it enhanced, and now a jury would be hearing the enhanced version for the first time. Much of what Katherine says is still hard to make out, but Charlie's voice now comes off as much clearer. In the video, Charlie tells Katherine, "If they had any evidence, we would have already gone to the airport. The problem is, even if they bug this, even if they bug your home, even if they bug your phone, you're still not talking about any of this. So my point is, how do you get people to talk? You throw smoke grenades and then you get all of the cockroaches to run out." He continues on and says, "Listen, if that's what it was, it's very smart, because that means my mom hasn't told my dad anything. My mom knows my dad is going to flip out when he finds out, but my mom hasn't told my dad anything." He tells Katherine that this person who gave his mom the piece of paper probably knew her routine and knows who she is. He then goes on about how they approached his mom and not his dad, because his dad might be someone who's carrying a gun. Katherine can be heard saying, "I have mine right next to my..." And then Charlie says, "You carrying on you right now? I mean, I'm going to start carrying one on my back. Like, you know, the holster that fits in your back? If someone comes up to me, they'd better be ready to shoot, because I'm going to shoot them. Someone comes up to me asking for money in my house?" Katherine says something that's hard to hear, and then Charlie continues. "Yeah, and guess what? When the fucking police show up and there's a doctor, there's an oral surgeon standing there with a dead gang member in his fucking driveway, they're not going to come down too hard on me. And I'm not going to talk anyway. I don't know. I don't trust them." He discusses whether the man who approached his mom may have been a cop or a gang member. As for whether it's a cop, he says, "If you're going to charge me, charge me." Charlie then talks about how police have to put the person at the scene. They have to prove the person committed the crime. He says, "Let's say you just sat in the car, right? And then I go ahead and I commit a crime. And then I go, but your DNA is in the car." He told her that she has nothing to do with him then robbing the Burger King. Charlie tells her the guy said the name Tuto, that Tuto is incarcerated now. I don't even know who the fuck that is, he says. A little later, he says, they didn't mention my name, which makes me think that these people only know part of the story, or they think they know part of the story. Then he asks her, let me ask you a question. When everybody was there the next day, did any of you take any money? It's not like you're driving around in a Bentley, cruising around in a mega yacht, you know? He says, I wish that it was a cop playing games. Why didn't they know it was me? If it was a cop playing games or an investigator playing games and they didn't mention me, they did mention your son's girlfriend, Katie, not mention me at all. I think if they thought I had something to do with it, they would find me and they'd talk to me. Like, go talk to the person who's involved, not fucking people who aren't involved. And I'm not involved. But if they knew your relationship is with me, not my family. Like, I dated you, not my mom. He also references Katherine working at the office. Your connection to my family is not my mom. Like, yeah, you work for the office now because the checks are from there. And that's just because you come in and work on the weekends, which I trust that you're doing because I'm never there when I see you. You tell me you do it and the place looks clean, so you get your checks. You clean up, whatever. The conversation continues for about 40 minutes. Charlie is doing the majority of the talking. In the following days, more phone calls were recorded from Charlie's phone and Katherine's. In many, Katherine and Charlie can be heard talking in what sounds like code, referencing rental properties when talking about what sounds like the blackmail attempt. At one point, there's confusion over what the phone number on the piece of paper is. They use dollar amounts when referring to it, instead of just numbers. Katherine also calls Sigfredo and talks to him numerous times about the blackmail. In what appears to be an attempt to relay the phone number written on the paper to him, she also speaks in dollar amounts.
The amount that I gave you on a piece of paper, I don't know if it's $60.57 or $65.07. Got it.
The last 4 digits of the phone number on the paper were 6570. In another phone call, Katherine relays the entire phone number, but refers to it as a real estate listing. Sigfredo tells her he will call it. At another point, he tells her he will take care of this problem, and the less you know, the better. After another meeting between Charlie and Katherine texts Sigfredo and says she needs to ask him about something else. To which Sigfredo replies, whatever is going on with you and your homie is your business. You guys work that shit out. Don't text me. Another conversation between Katherine and Charlie gets heated, with Charlie telling her to call the number. Katherine tells him she tried calling the number he gave her and that it wasn't a working number.
Hey, do you have the number I gave you the other day? I have the fucking number. Okay, good. Call it. I called the number. There's not a working number. Good. There's a number that calls the fucking number. Okay. This is a deeper one. I will. You're going to call it. The fucking is.
According to Agent Sanford, although Katherine told Charlie she had called the number, she had not. Charlie does end up calling the number and speaking with the undercover agent. The agent tells him, we know what's going on, and Tato needs to be taken care of. Do the right thing. No more fucking around. This thing ain't going away. Charlie says he will call him back. In another call to Sigfredo, Katherine says, they said my name and your name. It's getting too detailed. In a final call between Charlie and Donna, Charlie assures her that everything is taken care of and that no one has answered the number. He tells her she has to find something else to worry about now. After Agent Sanford's testimony, the state then rested their case, paving the way for Katherine Magbanua to once again take the stand, trying to convince the jury that she was not involved in the murder of Dan Markel.
anything to do with the murder of Dan Markel?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you know anything about the murder of Dan Markel?
No, ma'am.
Would you have ever assisted anyone in having a father of two killed?
No, ma'am.
Would you assist anyone in having anybody killed?
No, ma'am.
Katherine Magbanua told the jury that she knew nothing about the plot to murder Dan Markel. She said she knew Charlie's sister Wendy had kids, but that was about it. In June 2014, over Father's Day weekend, she and her friend Yindra went to the beach and met up with Wendy and Charlie. A photo of Wendy, Katherine, and Yindra at the beach had been shown to the jury during Wendy's prior testimony. That was the second time Katherine said she ever hung out with Wendy. She said Wendy never talked about her divorce or about relocation with her kids. She said she had no idea about any of that. She was asked if she ever took Sigfredo to rent a car in June or July 2014, and she said no. As for why her cell phone records would show her in the area, she said one of her best friends lives over there. When asked if she ever used to talk to Charlie about Sigfredo, she said yes. She responded that when Charlie was saying on the recordings that he didn't know who Tuto was, he was lying. She then described the confrontation between Sigfredo, her, and Charlie, as she and Charlie were returning from going jet skiing. This was on July 1st, just weeks before Dan's murder.
As we were pulling out of like the parking lot, we were going to go down the way, like one of the roads, and Sigfredo cut us off and just jumped out of the car and started screaming in the middle of the street.
So you're on a roadway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He blocks in. Do you immediately recognize that that's Sigfredo's car?
It was fast, but he jumped out of the car and like stood in the middle of the street, so I knew it was him.
Now describe for the jury, because he's not a small guy, Sigfredo, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, he's a lot taller than you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that time, was he, working out or?
Yeah, he was fit.
He stood up in front of the car, and what did he do?
He just started screaming in the middle of the street, but I didn't know what he was saying.
Could you hear what he was saying?
No, ma'am.
Were the windows up?
Yes.
All right. And do you know if he was screaming in English, Spanish?
I don't know what he was saying.
Now, when you see him, what was your reaction?
I was shocked.
What was Charlie's reaction?
Oh, he was petrified.
She said they were able to drive away. But later, she learned that Sigfredo then made that call to Harvey Adelson's voicemail. Katherine's attorney, Tara Kawas, pointed out that July 18th is an important date in the case, and Katherine agreed. But she said it didn't stick out to her back then, and that she can't even be sure that that's a night where she spent by Charlie's. If the phone records show that, though, she said she wouldn't disagree.
And if you were there that night, did anything stand out to you about Charlie's behavior?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did he ever to you seem weird or nervous or say that he was sick? Did anything stand out to you that night?
No.
All right. Did Charles Adelson give you $100,000 in stapled cash to then go and give to the father of your kids who you were not with the next day?
No, ma'am.
If Charles Adelson had said to you, here's $100,000 in stapled money, what would you do? What would be your first question to him?
Why are you giving me that?
Kawas then asked if she really worked at the Adelson Institute.
Were you working at the Adelson Institute?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Who gave you that job?
Charlie.
Okay. Explain to the jury why you asked him to put you on the payroll.
Well, my son, he has a disability, and I needed to get insurance for him. And the jobs that I was having didn't have insurance, so it was so high. So I asked him to do me that favor to put me in his office so that I could have a job on paperwork.
Now, you didn't work for Donna Adelson?
No, ma'am.
You didn't work for Harvey Adelson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What would you do for Charles Adelson to get that biweekly paycheck that you were getting?
Well, I was more like his assistant. I helped him get for his website and set up those appointments for him, and just odd things, odd jobs.
Would it be a situation where he asked you to do something and you just do it?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't have a set schedule?
No, ma'am.
Of what your duties for him entailed, right?
No, ma'am.
And you wouldn't agree to be put on the payroll if you were involved in a homicide, right?
No, ma'am.
Because that's just stupid.
Yes, ma'am.
Name some of the things that you said, the website, any other odd things.
I've done the rental. He had like rental places, and I've had to talk to the tenants before and collect actually rent before for the tenants, and don't really remember much. It's been so long.
But it was a situation where it's just, hey, if he calls me and he asks me to put something, I'm just going to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She said she would lie to Charlie and say she went to the office to clean, but that she didn't.
He didn't ask you to do anything weird.
No, ma'am.
Like get someone to get a hitman to commit a murder of his ex-husband.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Had Charlie Adelson asked you if you knew a hitman?
If I knew one?
If you knew a hitman or knew someone that could commit a murder for him, would you stay in a relationship with someone like that?
No, ma'am.
Would you have called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
She testified that sometimes when Sigfredo would come into a large sum of money, he would give it to her.
Did you ask him where the money came from?
No, ma'am.
Why?
It's probably something illegal.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just didn't want to know anything about it, right?
I did not care.
Okay. And why didn't you care?
Because I needed the money for the kids.
In 2019, prior to the first trial, Prosecutor Kappelman and Jason Newland, an investigator with the state attorney's office, went to the jail to meet with Katherine.
Were they allowed to ask you whatever they wanted?
Whatever they wanted.
And you answered all their questions?
Yes, ma'am.
They just didn't like your answers?
They did not like my answer.
Okay. And it's because you said you had nothing to do and didn't know anything about the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, they keep saying that doesn't make sense, but you haven't heard anything in this case that's not Luis Rivera that contradicts what you've been saying?
Yes, ma'am.
As for the Dolce Vita video, she said she remembers Charlie telling her that someone had approached his mom, but she can't remember exactly what he said.
From what you can remember, was he giving you scenarios?
That's how he always talks. He talks in different scenarios on and on and on.
Okay. And did he mention Tallahassee?
No, ma'am.
Did he mention a murder?
No, ma'am.
Did he mention Dan Markel?
No, ma'am.
Did he mention Wendy's ex-husband?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You heard that they said, that he had said this has been on the news and everywhere. Had he said murder to you, would you have remembered him saying that?
Yes, ma'am. Would have stuck out.
Was it unusual for Charlie to be nervous that the government was investigating him?
Would it be normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always sketched out about everything.
She said she lied to Charlie about calling the number because she didn't feel like it was something she should have to do.
So you had asked Sigfredo to call the number for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you ask Sigfredo to call?
Because they were mentioning our name.
Okay. So would you have ever asked Tuto to do anything if they had only mentioned your name?
No, ma'am.
Because you wouldn't want
Why would I exactly
explain?
Why would I involve them in it?
Okay, you probably would have called then if they had just said your name.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
She said she couldn't recall what she had told Sigfredo about it. She said there are so many phone calls the state didn't play. She described why, by the last call they played, she was so angry at Charlie.
You're screaming at him to call the FBI.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain to them what point did you reach there with him?
With
Charlie?
Well, that's what I said. He kept on and kept talking about this over and over and over. So I was like, just call the cops, call the FBI. Why are they harassing? But like I told you the whole time, since I don't know when they had mentioned about a brother and Tato and all that stuff. So I thought it had to do with drugs or somebody that's trying to extort money from his family, which is like from Tato's family, from somebody that Tato might know.
Oh, so you were trying to investigate that maybe it was possibly someone that was linked to Sigfredo.
Who knew
you were dating a rich ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay. So because of Sigfredo's background, it didn't seem that unusual to you that someone might have done that.
No, ma'am.
All right. And who Sigfredo used to hang around with?
No, ma'am.
She said after Sigfredo was arrested and after police had come to her door wanting to talk to her, she packed up and moved to be closer to her brother. She said they weren't sure exactly what Sigfredo had been involved in. Shortly after, a special about the case on the TV show 2020 was aired. She said when she watched it, she freaked out because they had footage of her under surveillance, and she had no idea she was being watched by police. The show portrayed her as a middle person in the homicide. Then she was arrested. She said she had sent a message to the Tallahassee Police Department through her attorney that if there was ever a warrant out for her arrest, she would turn herself in. But to her surprise, as she was leaving a shopping plaza, she was stopped by police.
Swarms of guys just had all these guns pointed at me, telling me, stop the car, stop the car. So I put up my hands because at that time there was a lot of shootings that was happening. So the officers would just shoot if they thought that you were, you were doing something.
Yeah.
So I put up my hands and they're like, put it on park, put it on park. So I parked the car and then I got out and I was that's when I was so nervous that I really urinated on myself.
She said she has tried cooperating with the state, but that she wasn't telling them what they wanted to hear.
Did you know that they wanted to arrest Charles Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Charles Adelson has been free up until a month ago.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Back in 2019, when I asked you, do you think he's guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you say?
After seeing everything, yes.
To this day, do you think he's guilty?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that he should be prosecuted for his involvement in the murder of Dan Markel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you think he should come forward and let the jury know that you had nothing to do with this?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I just don't understand why I'm still doing this right now when he just got arrested a month ago. And I said on the last trial, well, after seeing all of this, you should arrest him. And still nothing until, I guess, I don't know, it's the Dolce Vita video, which I already testified to. And I already said exactly what was happening to my recollection of that day. And it took him 3 years to enhance a video that I testified for 3 years ago.
Prosecutor Sarah Dugan did the cross-examination for the state. She immediately started questioning Katherine's claims from direct about being Charlie's personal assistant, starting in September 2014 when she started receiving checks.
And he had just broken up with you 2 months before that.
Like I said, I was telling Ms. Kawas that I never had a definitive date when we stopped talking.
Sometime between the murder, though, and when you became his personal assistant, he broke up with you, though. That was your testimony?
It was dwindling down, our relationship.
Meaning that he was ghosting you? That's what
Something
your
attorney
said in her opening statement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why would he want you working as his personal assistant if he was ghosting you?
Well, I told you that I needed that favor for the insurance purposes. That's why I put that I was working for him.
Prosecutor Dugan pointed out that Katherine had asked Charlie for that favor on June 24th, 2014, according to her text messages. She told Katherine this was in between the June trip and the July trip, but she didn't start working for him until September, after she said he had ghosted her. Dugan asked what exactly she did for Charlie. Katherine told her all she can recall is that she set up an appointment with her friend who was going to work on Charlie's website for him. Prosecutor Dugan displayed a text message Katherine had sent to Charlie in October 2014, where she asks how work is and his love life. Then another text from October 2015 says, I was going to text you, but I never know if you're on vacation or not at work. In December 2015, she texts, so how's work? How's your office?
You were working as a personal assistant, making that money, only set up the one appointment that you can think of, and you're having to check in with him. How's work? How's your love life? What's going on with you? You're not keeping up with his schedule either, are you?
Like I said, I didn't have his definitive schedule, what he does. He needs help and he needs to text me and needs me to do something. He'll text me and let me do something.
Well, you also said that you helped him with tenants of his properties.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the properties?
He had a couple of properties at that time. I don't remember what location or where it is, but he had asked me to collect the tenant's payment, the monthly payment. And they had washers and dryers there too, and you'd have to open it up and get whatever coins are in there.
Okay, so you collected rent from these tenants?
Yes.
Prosecutor Dugan had her look at a transcript from testimony she gave at her first trial.
When you were asked in October of 2019, would you be responsible for collecting rent? You said, initially he wanted me to try to collect rent, but those tenants were so difficult, so I just didn't do it. Isn't that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you didn't actually collect rent?
No, he wanted me to collect it. Well, obviously here it says that I didn't.
Right. And today, though, you're saying that you did.
I said he wanted to. He wanted me to collect. I don't even remember what I just said.
Right. I just asked you if you collected rent, and you said you did.
Well,
and that was a lie, wasn't it?
I just said I didn't in this testimony.
Okay. And if you said that you collected rent from him today, and you previously said that you did not collect rent from his tenants, he wanted you to do it, but you never did it. That's a lie, right?
I should have told you to refresh my memory instead of saying that.
Okay. Was that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Prosecutor Dugan asked her if Charlie did that favor for her because he was trying to keep her happy after she did a really big favor for him in July 2014. Katherine said no. Dugan then displayed another one of Katherine's texts to Charlie from April 2015, where she says, "I know you're busy. Every time I speak to you, it's like you have a little attitude. And even though I know you're overwhelmed with everything that you're doing, it's rude how you sound." Then she says, "Next time, don't be such a dick to someone that has done something for you."
I mean, you weren't doing much of anything for him, right? He was the one giving you all this money.
And I told you it was I did the whole purpose for that was for the insurance for my children.
I know, but my point is he hadn't done anything for you. You were the one he was the one paying you the money. You weren't doing anything for him. He was doing everything for you, right?
He was doing that as a favor for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about here? That's something that you've done for him.
Do you have the rest of the text? Because that's just like a portion.
It doesn't say that
remember.
day. You're just talking about he's being mean to you and you're saying, don't be such a dick to someone who's done something for you.
Yeah, I don't know what I was referring to.
Okay.
She agreed that Charlie also offered to send her and her mom on a cruise and would occasionally give her cash. Prosecutor Dugan displayed text messages where Katherine would ask him for money, and then a couple days later, the exact amount she asked for would then be deposited into her bank account. If that's what the records show, Katherine said. In August 2014, she deposited about $13,000 into her account. Katherine said she doesn't recall where that came from, whether it was something Sigfredo gave her or whether she was working somewhere at the time.
No, ma'am. When I look at the records that you guys have, it's crazy. Even when I see how you guys put it and make it out to be like on my account.
Wouldn't that be a memorable thing for you if all of a sudden
Exactly.
you got over twice the amount of money you would normally have?
That would definitely be memorable.
As for Club Fate, one of the clubs she said she worked at that would help explain her cash deposits, she maintained that she was making good money there in tips, despite what the club owner, Ramsey Neighbor, had testified to. She agreed that when Charlie told her about the man who approached his mom, she agreed to call the number.
You were asked by Charlie Adelson to call this number on the article.
Yeah.
You got someone else to do that for you, right?
Yeah, I asked Sigfredo to do it.
So you coincidentally get the person who was the shooter of this crime that Charlie Adelson's being blackmailed.
I mean,
right?
I was just asking Sigfredo to call the number.
Okay, and just coincidentally, he's the shooter.
I didn't even know about any of that until the trial.
Okay, so that is a coincidence.
In your opinion, I believe so.
All right. I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm saying you're saying that that's a coincidence. You didn't actually have anything to do with it.
No, ma'am.
And you didn't actually know what it was about or who you were getting to call for that reason, anything?
No, ma'am. Other than the fact that they said Katie and Tuto.
In many of the wiretap recordings, Charlie tells Katherine that he doesn't know who Tuto is. Prosecutor Dugan asked why she didn't tell him.
When Charlie Adelson told you that his mom said it has to do with Tuto and Tato, why didn't you say, you know exactly who that is, Charlie? Tuto is Sigfredo.
No, he was saying it in different ways. And then that's why I never corrected him. I know like they've asked me about that before. I didn't know that I had to correct them and say, well, you know him. Mm-hmm. You know the father of my kids. Like, why are you saying the name different?
And he said that though multiple times. He said, I don't even know who Tudo is. He said that on the phone, and he said that in Dolce Vita, didn't he?
On the phone, I think I heard it, but on the Dolce Vita, I don't remember.
And you just didn't correct him, just didn't ask why he was acting like he didn't know who Tudo was.
That's the whole reason why I'm even in here, because I wasn't asking the questions.
She said she found out Dan Markel was murdered when Sigfredo got arrested. Prosecutor Dugan questioned how that never came up in all of her communications with Charlie.
Never mentioned Dan Markel. He never mentioned Tallahassee. He never mentioned anything about a murder. Those things would stick out.
Right. I would think that they would.
Katherine said she had no idea what Charlie was talking about during their meeting at Dolce Vita, when at one point he tells her that if someone goes to the cops, they're going to be asked if they have evidence.
And that when he tells you, if this person went to the cops, they're going to be asked, well, where's the weapon? Did you witness it? No, you just heard a rumor. Well, that's worth zero. You have to get them on a wire. You have to get the person to confess. Outside of that, there's no evidence. That's what you heard, right?
Parts of it, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he's saying, right, that if you guys all keep quiet, no one's going to have any evidence of you, right?
I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't know what he was talking. He's saying scenarios over and over.
Why is he talking to this about this with you?
I don't know.
What is he saying the cops aren't going to have evidence of?
I have no idea.
You had no clue.
No.
And you didn't ask either, did you? That's your testimony?
I don't remember what we were talking about, or if I asked, I hear myself responding, but...
Right, but you did say that you never asked why the cops would be running this undercover investigation, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
At another point in the Dolce Vita video, Charlie gave her examples about how it doesn't matter if you were in a car that was then used in a crime. Katherine said she didn't know what that was about either.
He is trying to ease your mind because the car that Garcia and Rivera rented to drive up here and kill Dan Markel had been on the news, right?
I don't know of that.
You were nervous that police might be able to connect them to having rented it or been in that car, weren't you?
Why would I be nervous? I never even knew of it.
You never knew that the car was on the news?
I knew from when Sigfredo got arrested, and I think they put a picture of that, of the Prius.
He was trying to tell you in that video that it doesn't matter if they rented a certain car or were seen in a certain car. Police have to be able to put them at the scene of the crime at the time, right?
That's what he had said on the video, but I don't know what he was talking about.
So he's just talking about that. You have no idea why.
He's giving different scenarios.
Prosecutor Dugan asked her if she was mad at Sigfredo and Charlie.
Aren't you mad at Garcia and Charlie for doing this, and you're innocent and you're having to answer for it?
Am I mad at them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been upset.
If you were mad at Garcia, just not long ago, just this month, you said on a recorded call to him, I can't talk to you, I can't touch you, I can't see you, I can't feel you, and you were crying about it.
Yeah, he's the father of my kids, so I'm going to love him forever.
Prosecutor Dugan then went over all of the coincidences one last time.
And this $17,000 cash spike during the 6 weeks after the murder being put on the Adelson payroll, even though you didn't collect rent, you made the one appointment, your $4,000 breast augmentation, all of that within the 2 months of the murder. Those are just all coincidences to it. You didn't have anything to do with this. The money had nothing to do with anything that you did.
I've explained everything already.
Okay. All the favors that Charlie did for you after you and him broke up. The trips. Nothing with that had to do anything with the murder. That was just a coincidence too. Just him being nice.
I guess so.
Okay. The fact that he called you out of all of his ex-girlfriends after his mom just said an ex-girlfriend was mentioned. That's a coincidence too.
I guess so.
The fact that your husband committed a murder for your boyfriend. That's also just a coincidence. You didn't have anything to do with it?
I didn't have anything to do with it.
I mean, those are some pretty unbelievable coincidences, right?
Objection improper.
That's sustained.
Okay, you either have the worst luck or you did this, right?
Objection improper question.
Sustained.
Garcia would never do anything to help Charlie Adelson, would he?
I wouldn't think that, but with everything that's all in the evidence and stuff, I mean, it looks pretty bad.
And you said in 2019 he would never do anything.
I did say that because I would never think that they would like each other in any way or do favors for each other.
Okay.
I see why I'm in the middle. I'm smack in the middle. I see it. That's why I'm fighting for my life.
And so you did say Garcia would never do anything to help Charlie Adelson.
In my 2019 testimony, yes, I did mention that.
Right. And in opening, your attorney said that there was definitive proof of a link between Garcia and Charlie. What is it?
What did my attorney say?
No, what's the link between Garcia and Charlie?
That they knew each other or they spoke to each other.
How?
I don't know. Apparently everything's being done behind my back. That's why.
That's all. Thank you.
In her closing arguments, prosecutor Georgia Kappelman meticulously went through all the evidence against not only Katherine, but Sigfredo, Lewis, and even Charlie as well. She brought up how Katherine testified that she didn't know what Charlie was talking about on the Dolce Vita video, and how she claimed prosecutors were taking it all out of context.
Because she's involved. I mean, there's no other explanation. Not taking it out of context. There is only one context. The alternate context is, I don't know anything. Can't offer any context. Can't tell you what I was thinking. Can't tell you why I did what I did. Because I have no memory of doing it, no memory of saying it, no memory of being there. Can't offer you nothing.
Prosecutor Kappelman said there was one thing that was bothering her that she recently figured out. She said she couldn't understand why the defense was being so adamant that Sigfredo didn't go with Lewis on that first trip to Tallahassee in June. She explained that according to the defense, Sigfredo and Charlie had some sort of confrontation in March 2014, after Charlie went to dinner with Katherine, Wendy, and Jeffrey Lacasse. That's where they decided to team up together to kill Dan Markel. But on July 1st, there was the confrontation between Sigfredo and Katherine and Charlie as they were driving to go jet skiing. Afterwards, Sigfredo called Harvey Adelson's cell phone and left a voicemail, thinking it was Charlie's phone.
The problem for the defense is if Garcia and Charlie struck up this deal that they told you about in opening statement, whereby Charlie, it goes from, I'm going to fight you because you're sleeping with my wife, to I'll do a murder for you for $100,000 if you'll leave my wife alone. If that happens on or about March 11th at the dinner meeting, then it doesn't make sense that he would make this deal with Charlie, go to Tallahassee in June to stalk and or kill, and then July 1st not know how to get in touch with Charlie Adelson. So that's the problem. Doesn't make sense. He's looking for Charlie Adelson. He doesn't know how to get in touch with him. If he had this confrontation that resulted in a pact to do a murder in March, then he would already have Charlie Adelson's information, be able to call Charlie Adelson and confront him after the jet ski incident, wouldn't need to accidentally leave a voice message for Harvey. So that theory is completely speculative. It does not fit with the evidence in this case. All the evidence is consistent with Garcia traveling to Tallahassee. Remember, he's the one that rented the car. That car pinged in Tallahassee. And I would even take this analysis a step further and suggest that the fact that Garcia is trying to confront Charlie on July 1st, which is after that June trip, is evidence that he is walled off from Charlie in reference to this conspiracy. I don't think he's going to be trying to fight the guy that he's in the process of trying to do a murder for. A guy that's about to pay him $100,000 or his portion of $100,000 to do a murder 2 weeks later.
She asked the jury how many coincidences does it take for things to no longer be a coincidence. She told the jury to use their common sense and to render a wise and legal verdict in this case, which she said should be guilty as charged. In her closing arguments, Tara Kawas reiterated their theory of how Charlie and Sigfredo went behind Katherine's back to plan the murder. She pointed to text messages that Charlie sent to a friend in June, saying he was going to break up with Katherine. And that's why Sigfredo was so angry when he saw them together on July 1st, she said. Charlie was supposed to have broken up with her.
And then what's even more telling, members of the jury, just like that, right after the murder, the communications are no longer romantic. I just want to be friends. You really gonna break up with the girl or that you just conspired to commit murder with? There's not one thing in his text messages, nothing that supports. They have all of his text messages from the day of the murder, the day after the murder, the day before the murder. They don't show that to you because there's nothing in there that shows that she knew anything about the homicide. In fact, the conversations are just so obscure that that's not the conversation that people would be having knowing that a homicide is going to take place.
She said there's no evidence that Katherine was involved in a money drop the day after the murder.
First of all, the only evidence to that is Jessica Rodriguez and Luis Rivera. They can't get their story straight. As much as they tried, as much prepping that probably went on, even they couldn't get their story straight.
She pointed out how Jessica first said to investigators that Katherine didn't know what was in the bag, but then later she testified that she did.
That is what they brought to you, members of the jury. That is what they brought to you as direct evidence to try and prove that Katie was involved. But no matter how hard they tried, there is not one piece of credible evidence, reliable evidence, that was presented to you as jurors that would allow you to go back into that jury room and say confidently that this is what happened. The only evidence was Luis Rivera, and he is a walking contradiction.
She told the jury that Katherine is innocent and that the evidence the prosecution claims to have against her doesn't exist.
That is how Ms. Magbanua sits here today, living the worst nightmare that anyone on this planet could imagine. Sitting in a jail for a crime you did not commit, knowing all the while that all you have to do to go home is lie. I'm involved and Charlie got me to do this. She got up here and told you herself, I believe he's guilty. I want him to pay for what he did to Dan Markel and also for getting me involved in this nonsense. And all she'd have to do is lie, members of the jury. That's it. But she's not Luis Rivera. No matter what she did, she has stuck to the truth every single time. And she's not going to sink to his level just to buy her freedom.
The jury went back and deliberated for nearly 8 hours before returning with their verdict. Katherine began sobbing at the defense table, even before it was read.
In the case of the state of Florida versus Katherine D. Magbanua, case number 2016 CF 3036 and 2018 CF 497. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1. A, the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2. A, the defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3. A, the defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson.
Katherine's attorneys were visibly upset too. But after the verdict was read, reporters caught Dan Markel's mom, Ruth Markel, giving a hug to Prosecutor Kappelman. According to Carl Edders, a fantastic reporter who's been covering this case extensively, Katherine's sentencing will be held on July 29th. She has an automatic life sentence for the first-degree murder conviction, but faces 30 years each for conspiracy to commit murder and solicitation of murder. Interestingly, Charlie Adelson also has a hearing that same day, his first case management conference after his arrest, and it's at the same time in the same courtroom. In the meantime, Dan's mother, Ruth Markel, is releasing a book titled The Unveiling. It's about the traumatic ordeal her family has gone through since the murder of her son. The Markels have also been instrumental in helping legislation pass in Florida regarding visitation rights for grandparents in the cases where one parent has died and the other living parent found responsible. And that's all for this episode. I did my best to fit in all the most relevant and interesting pieces of testimony that I could, but believe it or not, there's even more that I wasn't able to fit in. You can check out the full trial on Law and Crime's YouTube channel, which I'll link to in the show notes. And I'll also be adding some additional trial testimony on my Patreon. One example is a witness that Katherine's defense called to the stand. He's a former friend of Charlie Adelson's, and I think he offered a rather interesting glimpse into testimony that could be coming in Charlie's case.
Do you remember him ever saying something in reference to, you know, you can get away with murder, you just have to keep your mouth shut?
Yes, ma'am.
He's not one to keep his mouth shut, is he?
No, ma'am.
So you can check the trial out in its entirety on Law and Crime's YouTube channel, or you can join my Patreon at courtjunkie.com/support, and I'll have some additional trial testimony shortened for you for more easy listening. I'll have that up sometime in the next week or so. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially on this case. Do you agree with the verdict in this one? Or do you think Katherine really is innocent? How do you think Charlie's trial is going to go? And do you think we'll be seeing even more arrests in the case? I'd also love to know what you think about how much Wendy's possible role was discussed in this trial and what that could possibly mean. Let me know by joining the conversation on Instagram at Court Junkie, by tweeting me at Court Junkie Pod, or by
5. Detective Tony Richardson was trying to figure out who killed a fellow officer. The case comes down to who is believed and who is ignored.
Oh my goodness, we did convict an innocent man.
I'm Beth Shelburne from Lava for Good Podcasts. This is Earwitness. Listen to Earwitness on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.